Hello, everyone. I hope you are all doing well. I wanted to take this opportunity to record a quick video just to virtually check in with everyone. I know I've worked with most of you all one-on-one in depth, copious sessions, meetings, email exchanges, etc. over the past few weeks. So I wanted to give everyone a week of a breather last week before we jump into some of our few remaining weekly modules that will be included in this course, this week included. If you haven't already, I encourage everyone to take a look at the module page, analysis of collected source materials, annotations dated 3/27/2023. I put everything in here. This is the plan for the next 2 weeks. The idea is that the focus will now be on beginning to transition your research content and material to what will be the final literature review format. So this will take some time. This will take some strategy, some discussions, tapping into some of the resources that you have in order to figure out and determine the best way by which to organize your ideas, to present your ideas into respective subsections. And so this organization piece will be the next thing that we really focus on. But for now, I want us to take a look at our source content and ensure that we're evaluating source content appropriately, efficiently, ensuring we have the right amount of data, the right amount of source content that will substantiate or justify any claims that you are making in your argument. So from here, I put a note up here. I'm trying to grade everyone's content for the critical analyses. It takes a large amount of time. Usually one paper takes about 2 hours for me to grade and review. And I'm also providing some feedback and content on not only just your writing tone content, mechanics of your writing, your research content. I'm also going to be providing some supplemental information, my recommendations regarding how you can transition or begin transitioning your research content from the critical analysis format over to what would be a standard or ideal literature review, or at least give you some steps that'll get you started on the right path to how you can figure out that for yourself. You all have, again, autonomy and free agency. You own your research content. I'm just here to guide you. The quality of your work will be rooted in not only your academic tone and the mechanics of your writing, the verbiage you use, but also in how you are substantiating the arguments you're making in your research. You're synthesizing all of your research, but you're also making an argument, as we've discussed. And so all of the source material, all the content that you integrate will be part of justifying that claim you're making. And so that's how the overall quality will be assessed. I'm going to update some of this information here. So within the next 1 or 2 weeks, you'll get those critical analyses back with my feedback. You'll find that in the critical analysis Dropbox. It'll be listed as a comment as I return most of your work back to you. It'll be the same way, no different. Take a look at it when you receive it, and then we will likely end up meeting again for another consultation session or 2 or 3 or however many necessary, and we'll discuss a plan forward for you after you take a look at that. Keep in mind that the final lit review is 45% of the cumulative course grade, so it's a large chunk of the overall course grade. Again, this module will span 2 weeks. There is going to be an introductory video, which is this, published here. There are going to be some lecture videos published here. The most important thing is to go ahead and start reading part 2 of Writing Literature Reviews, a guide for students of the social and behavioral sciences. That's chapters 6, 7, and 8, pages 65 through 93. This content covers specifically the nature of data, qualitative and quantitative data, some triangulation in terms of literary research. I do want to, again, make the distinction that this course is not based in research methodology. This is all literature-based research. The course that you take in the MASM program that is a research methodology course is MASM 535, and that will come later. I know some of you are already enrolled in it now this semester, but in that course, you will actually design a study. You'll learn about the nature of methodology, different methods of data analysis, conducting research. Again, our class is just focused on the literary precursor to any study that you would design. But still, it's important to understand qualitative, quantitative data, triangulation, and some basic concepts about data collection and analysis that will help better inform the sources that you choose and evaluate for your own literary work here in the research for the final lit review. So intro video, lecture videos, there's those 3 chapters and then a subsequent quiz. The quiz will be available on Friday and will be due Sunday, April 2nd by 11:59. Follows the same format as previous quizzes. The final lit review assignment instructions are now live. You can click here and take a look at the entire document. It is in a similar format as the critical analysis instructions. There's a sample lit review format here. There is also our IPE 520 prohibited items and important considerations list. So these are things that you can and cannot do in your work. A rubric for grading here, timeline, and then I walk you through organization and some other pertinent details. This particular final paper is not due until the very, very end of the course, and we will, of course, go into more detail about that later. But I want everyone to see the expectation of that final project now. I want everyone to look at the total page count and the number of sources required, as we will be compiling and drafting annotations for each of those sources. So this is all information you need to know and need to be aware of. Other than those instructions, there is an assignment for drafting annotations for the first half of your sources, so at least 12 of those by Sunday, 4/9 by 11:59. I encourage everyone to submit those sooner, but that's the due date to give everyone some flexibility. I will try to put a video in here where I walk you through what those annotations will look like and go into a little bit more detail for those. We will also be completing annotations for the second half of our overall sources, and when I refer to sources, those are the 24 sources required for the final lit review. Of course, there can be more if you want to add more. There's no maximum on sources that you must use, but there is a minimum in terms of how many of those sources must be scholarly peer-reviewed sources. Finally, I have links to some worksheets here that will help you in preparation for those annotations. So there is a CRAAP, I did not name that, a score calculator, and a worksheet. So these 2 sheets here will determine and give you a numerical score for how quality of sources that you're using on a scale from 1 to 10. Then there's also a worksheet that follows that similar model here, where you can address each of the aspects of the CRAAP model. And that's essentially just a model that's used that will evaluate whether or not your source is one that you can use, that it's suitable source for your content. This worksheet here is actually very important. If you complete this worksheet here with the appropriate information for each of your sources, all you'll have to do is transpose that information over to the actual document, annotation document. So this is a very helpful worksheet as well. Finally, I have published the peer partner group sheet here. So these are just group assignments. There's the group number. Remember your group number, because I will randomly assign certain group numbers to meet together for different things. So group 1, name, email, 2 people per group. I have spliced this down the middle, so most everyone is either a grad student meeting with an undergrad or vice versa. Let me know if you have any questions. Everything else is pretty self-explanatory. As I've mentioned in the past, we will have fewer and fewer weekly modules as we progress to the final. The idea is that you are going to adopt your research and start working on it in depth. You're going to meet with me. You're also going to have peer support here via your peer partners. You'll spend time in the library working with reference librarians, the Writing Center, and we will meet here and there. There will be some modules, but they're just not going to be posted each week. So I want everyone to be aware of that moving forward. Again, if you have any questions, let me know.